Hello and welcome to another book review. Apologies for not coming your way with the weekly book review. I suffered a shoulder dislocation and was unable to move my right hand in any direction, but I am much better today. Today I bring you my top 7 lessons from the book David and Goliath, Underdogs, Misfits, and the Art of Battling Giants by Malcom Gladwell. Malcolm happens to be one of my writing mentors as an author. I love his style and the research that he put into his books, and I identified a lot with this book because of where I am coming from. Growing up in a village in Ghana, I identify with most of the stories Malcolm shares in his book about being an underdog and coming from a place of disadvantage. And I hope that you will pick these lessons I have for you and apply them in your own life. But before we begin, I would kindly entreat you to click on the subscribe button and click on the bell icon. That way, whenever I upload a new video every Monday on this channel, you would get notifications and get to see it as soon as it goes live on my channel. Thank you so much for helping build this channel and sharing it with your friends and family. I appreciate it so much. Let's begin. The central theme of this book that I picked up was this: giants are not what we think they are. Most often when we see challenges ahead of us, we see people who are up there, we think that they have a special advantage or there is something about them that separates them from the masses. But the people we see up there, the challenges we face, the obstacles that are in front of us are not what they seem, if only we would take a step back and rethink these advantages that we think they have. And so not everything that you see ahead of you which looks so huge is actually huge. You need to take a step back and reevaluate the challenges you face in life and the things you have to do in life, and don't discount it and think, oh, this is impossible, I can't do this because I don't have this or that. By the time I go through the 7 lessons with you, I believe you will get a different understanding of what it means to fight from a place of disadvantage. Lesson: developing courage. Lesson number 2: stop asking what if things go wrong. Lesson number 3: identify your own disadvantages, read, learn from others, and copy their tactics. Lesson number 4: don't jump to conclusions about what will work and what won't. Lesson number 5: the only way out is through the challenge. Lesson number 6: know your own advantages and develop them. Lesson number 7: learn out of necessity. Let's begin. Growing up in a small community in Ghana with about 500 people, half of them being my relatives, there were lots of challenges you face, from not being able to stay in school because you can't pay your school fees. Getting food was a challenge. 6 children sharing a room, sleeping on the same mat. The challenge is walking kilometers to fetch water. These were challenges that confronted us, but we didn't overcome them because we were courageous. We had to go through them and in the end realize that this is courage. And when I was able to get to the university and then looking back at where I was coming from, was when I realized how much I have been through and how much courage I have developed. And so Malcolm says in the book, courage is not something that you already have that makes you brave when the tough times start. Courage is what you earn when you've been through the tough times and you discover they aren't so tough after all. And this is something that people need to understand. Sometimes when people tell you what they've been through, you begin to think that they might have been so courageous to endure all those hardships. But for most of them, and for most of the people who go through such situations, myself included, you never know what is happening to you until you come out on the other side. And so that is how you have to face all your challenges. Whenever you face a situation, go through it. As Winston Churchill once said, if you are walking through hell, keep walking, because you can't stop. You need to go through and realize that by the time you get to the other side of the challenge, you would have become a different person. You would have developed your courage that will help you to surmount other problems ahead of you. So that's lesson number 1. Develop your courage through the challenges you go through. Lesson number 2: stop asking what if things go wrong. This is something that happens a lot, especially with young people. When we want to try something new or when we want to start a new venture, instead of asking what if things go right, we ask what if things go wrong. And this is because we are afraid of the outcome. We are afraid of failure. And what happens if we don't succeed? What happens if we don't get the program we want to study in school, the kind of school we want to attend, the job we want? People are going to laugh at us. We are going to feel like we are failures, and nobody wants to feel like a failure. And so we ask the wrong question. What if things go wrong? And if you go around asking what if things go wrong, you can never accomplish anything. And so he put it this way: you can't concentrate on doing anything if you are thinking what's going to happen if things don't go right. This is not a question you should be asking. You need to analyze situations and know what you're about to get into. But you have to go in with a positive mindset. Things can go wrong, things can go right, but you need to learn your lessons. And when you succeed, you need to know why it happened and move on to a better platform or move on to the next project. But don't be stopped in your tracks because you keep asking yourself, what's going to happen if things don't go right? That's not a way to succeed, especially if you're an underdog, if you are going against overwhelming challenges. Lesson number 3: identify your own disadvantages. Read about other people's disadvantages. Learn and copy their tactics. People have shared their stories in books, in music, in movies, in videos over a long time. And the best way to learn wisdom to overcome your own challenges is to learn from them and copy how they overcame their own situations. The story of David and Goliath is one that has been overlooked over the years. Even though it's a biblical story that has been told over and over again, people haven't actually learned lessons from it to apply in their own lives. But David and Goliath gives us an example, a blueprint of how to overcome overwhelming challenges, or of how to win battles as an underdog. Because David came into the fight with no chance of winning. But if you look at how he succeeded, you can learn how to overcome your own challenges, and that is something you can only do when you read and learn and copy tactics of other people and how they overcame their own disadvantages. And he says this way: we spend a lot of time thinking about the ways that prestige and resources and belonging to elite institutions make us better off. We don't spend enough time thinking about the ways in which those kind of material advantages limit our options. Where you come from, what you had or didn't have growing up, these are not things that are supposed to stop you. You learn more from adversity, you grow more from challenges, and so you don't have to always look at what other people have because of where they come from, but look at yourself and your own surroundings and look at how that has shaped you, your thinking, your abilities, your zeal, your hunger for success. It is because you came from such places. So you need to start learning how to turn these disadvantages into your own advantages. Lesson number 4: don't jump to conclusions about what will work and what won't. Sometimes we look at situations on the face value and we think that because someone has 5 cars, 5 shoes, a laptop, a phone that you don't have, someone has rich parents, it means they are going to succeed and you are not, because you come from a village, because you don't have a car, because you don't have a job. That is not how to think. You don't have to look at things happening around you and conclude what will work and what won't work. You need to go beyond that. You need to start thinking in terms of what can I do to turn my disadvantage into my advantage. And so here it is. The Israelites saw from high on the ridge an intimidating giant. In reality, the very thing that gave the giant his size was also the source of his greatest weakness. There is an important lesson in that for battles with all kinds of giants, the powerful and the strong are not always what they seem. And this is the central theme of the book. Before we began this review, I told you that giants are not what they seem. And so whenever you are facing an overwhelming or impossible challenge, don't look at the challenge, don't look at the size of it, or don't look at how huge it is, but go beyond it, go around it, and look at ways in which you can overcome this giant in front of you. Lesson number 5: the only way out is through the challenge. When you are pushed to the wall, Robert Greene in one interview says that human beings are animals of necessity. When we have to build a wall, when we have to build a boat, we do that. But when there's nothing pushing us, we sit down and watch TV and change channels. And this is what happens in life. When there is nothing pushing you to the wall, when you have everything given to you on a silver platter, you are not going to fight. You are not necessarily going to fight compared to someone who has no option. So if you are looking to fight the way David did, then you need to be at a place where there is no option. There is no way out until you face a challenge. The obstacle is the way. You can't run away from it. You can cry. You can do anything, but you have to go forward through the challenge. To play by David's rules, you have to be desperate. You have to be so bad that you have no choice. That is how to do it. That is how to make it. And so I started doing these YouTube channel videos. I started doing podcasts and all of these things, not because I had options, but because I need to find a way to share my message. I know there is something that I have for the world to hear me, but I don't have the platform. I don't have the money. I don't have the connection. But this is a platform that is available to me. This is something that I can use. So this is my option. I want to push through this so badly, even though I am having inferior equipment and I need to upgrade the kind of gadgets I use to record the videos and the audios and other things. I'm still pushing because I am in a place where I have no option. I have to work with what I have where I am until I can do better. And that is how you have to face life. You don't need to wait till everything falls into place before you begin. You need to understand that if you want to play by devil's rules, if you want to be an underdog winning against the environment challenges, you have to be desperate. You have to be so bad that you have no choice than to go through the challenge. Lesson number 6. Know your own advantages and develop them. In as much as you are at a disadvantage, you also have your own advantages, and that is what people fail to see. Because I came from such a hard background, I had to invest my time into reading, learning. All I did was go to the library and read because I had no smartphones or gadgets or computer. So it didn't distract me. I was not playing computer games, but I was reading. And so this has become my advantage. I have read hundreds of books. And this is something someone who had a smartphone and was always on the phone playing games cannot compete with me when it comes to that area of life. And so I have come to a point where I am developing my own advantage to beat anyone out there who comes to play with me in that turf or in that field of life. And so I have to give my best in that area of life. Not necessarily beat anyone, but I have to be the best in that area of life. And for you to do that, you need to recognize your own advantage and develop them. Don't always look at the negative aspects of your growing up life, of the situation you are in, the work you are doing. There is something that is going for you, and you need to capitalize on that and make it your own. Moshe Dayan, the Israeli Minister of Defense in 1967, said something about David. He says, David fought Goliath not with inferior, but on the contrary, with superior weaponry, and his greatness consisted not in his being willing to go out into battle against someone far stronger than he was, but in his knowing how to exploit a weapon by which a feeble person could seize the advantage and become stronger. The book of Kings in the Bible says that there were over 700 chosen men in Israel who could throw a stone at a hairbreadth and not miss. There were soldiers in that time who went to battle who could also throw stones and slings like David did, but none of them was able or courageous enough to go and fight the Goliath because they couldn't see the advantage they had. David knew that for him to defeat Goliath, he had to go with what works for him, and that is long distance weapons like using the sling and stone, which can help him defeat Goliath from afar off, and he doesn't need to get closer to Goliath, who can kill him with a swing of his sword. And so in situations where you have to fight or overcome overwhelming challenges, you need to know what works for you. You need to work with what you have. Stick to your own advantage. Work with your game plan and don't try to play their game. Do what makes you the best. Work in your own field, and once you recognize that, work with that. Don't try and abandon what you've trained with, what you've prepared with, and go and do what other people are doing because it seems to work for them. Believe in yourself, trust in your own abilities, and develop your own advantages. The last lesson before we go for today is learn out of necessity. What is learned out of necessity is inevitably more powerful than the learning that comes easily. When nothing pushes you to learn, I had to learn how to use PowerPoints to make videos for YouTube because I needed a camera, which I haven't gotten yet, and I couldn't wait for it. I can't wait until I get it before I continue making videos for my channel. So I resorted to making review videos, which required me to make PowerPoint presentations as well as making videos on the side. And so this is how I ended up making this kind of videos. I had to learn how to make podcasts. I had to learn how to write books and publish on Amazon, not because I needed it, but not because it was something that I could do casually, but because I needed it, because it was a necessity. And once I learned how to do that, now I am publishing for people on Amazon, getting paid for it. I'm doing podcasts, I'm doing YouTube videos. I learned these things out of necessity, and so I'm never going to forget. I am teaching others, I'm becoming a master, I'm learning how to master it step by step, because it is something that is necessary for me to do. But it's not something that I just want to learn on the side. It is something that I am dedicated to, that every day I want to get better at it and be the best at it 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So these are my top 7 lessons from the book David and Goliath, How to Fight as an Underdog. And this book is one that you really need to read. If you haven't read it yet, I'm going to leave the link in the description. You can get it on Amazon. You can also grab this. You can also go back and watch the reviews of other books I've done in the playlist of the book review that I have on my channel. Once again, I would entreat you to kindly subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon. That way you would get notifications anytime I upload a new video, and I am uploading a new video every Monday. I want to grow this channel so that I can monetize it and get new gadgets to help me produce better and quality videos and content to help you make your dreams possible. I need your help, and I appreciate every single one of those subscriptions that are coming in. Kindly share with your friends and family as well, and see you in the next book review. Thank you so much.